Gigantic flames coming from this distillery fire. Several homes have been evacuated. Major fire on the south side of Bardstown. These are the very first pictures you have seen in the Louisville area from this fire, and it has been going on since at least 2 o'clock this afternoon. Firefighters at this point say they are going to just have to let the fire go.
10-4.
4 Heaven Hill bourbon whiskey warehouses are being destroyed by the flames that the firefighters have been unable to control for 2 hours at this point. Oak barrels of whiskey have exploded, and witnesses say burning alcohol poured across a road at one point, setting a truck ablaze. It sounds like something from out of a movie script. No injuries, however, have been reported so far, and that is very good. We want to tell you a little bit about what is burning, and again, you are looking at the flames in the middle of your screen from Sky 11, and Sky 11 is still 20 miles from Bardstown, Kentucky. These are the Heaven Hill Distilleries on fire at this time. 4 buildings are on fire. It started in one building and then continued to spread to the second building, to the third building, and then to a 4th building. Some homes have been evacuated in the area. Right now we have Ann Jewell, I believe, in the helicopter. Ann, I understand you're very far from this fire still, but what are you seeing?
We're about 15 miles away at this point, Melissa, and it is incredible. As we were coming through the bad weather here, we were trying to get our bearings on where exactly the fire would be, and our pilot here, Bob Poe, looked ahead and he said, there it is up there. At that point, we were 23 miles away, and we just saw the flames and started heading that way. It's really just amazing. The closer we get, the clearer it is. It looks like more than one blaze, several plumes we can see coming up into the sky. I can't imagine what it's going to look like when we get up close to it, Melissa.
It is incredible from that point to see these flames 15 miles away, and the visibility is not good at all today, so you can imagine what that's like. Let me give you a little bit of information, something interesting that we collected from a U of L chemist. Now keep in mind that we're told the alcohol that is being consumed by this fire and what is actually fueling this fire at this point, one expert says could be 125 proof. So we're wondering how that compares to maybe gasoline. U of L biochemist David Cohn says that once started, alcohol is very hard to put out. Once the fire begins, the vapors burn as hot, if not hotter, than gasoline. So you can imagine that if this was a warehouse of gasoline, that is like what is burning in Bardstown right now, 1,200 to 1,700 degrees. He says if it's more than one kind of alcohol, the situation might be worse. Another professor, Professor Taylor there at University of Louisville, compared it to a fuel fire at the Indianapolis 500. So, and you can imagine what that would be like. Unofficial estimates say each of the 4 warehouses could hold as many as 20,000 barrels each. So that would be 80,000 barrels of alcohol, possibly at 125 proof, that could burn as hot or hotter than gasoline. So that is the situation we have right now near Bardstown, Kentucky, at the Heaven Hill bourbon whiskey warehouses. It is on Gilkey Run Road. If you know that area well, this is on Gilkey Run Road. A resident who lived near the scene early on said that there had been several explosions at the site. He said at that time the flames were soaring 300 to 400 feet high. This is video from Sky 11. We must be a little more than 10 miles away from the fire at this point, and you can see how high those flames are. We have George Sells on the ground covering this story,
10-4.
And he called me earlier in a report and said that he had never ever seen a fire of this magnitude in all the time that he has been covering fires. He had never seen one of this magnitude, and other people in the area have said that as well. We were told also early on that this is a fire that was called a 12-alarm fire at one point, and that has to do with the number of fire companies, engine companies, that are called to a blaze. Most of the companies there are in Hardin County. However, at least 2 companies have been called
Yes.
from Jefferson County. Those are Fern Creek and Okolona. The Fern Creek Fire Departments and the Okolona Fire Departments have both been called to the scene, and we have been talking to them, and they have been telling us about this fire. Again, it started about 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Bob, did you hear them say they're staying
And you can tell that the flames there are very high, as I said earlier. One of the residents said they soared 300 to 400 feet into the air, and professors at U of L are saying that the vapors from this kind of alcohol, possibly 125 proof, can burn as hot or hotter than gasoline. So basically what you have are warehouses full of a highly, highly flammable liquid. These are the Heaven Hill Distillery's 4 buildings. Just amazing pictures you're seeing from Sky 11 Live as they actually fly toward the scene. And keep in mind, this fire has been burning for 2 hours.
We're about 5 miles
This is something
away.
that
We're
firefighters
5
have
miles
put
away.
out. I'm hearing Ann say she is 5 miles away. And as you get closer to the fire, can you begin to tell, it looks to me now like we have 2 separate fires, or is there just smoke covering that in the middle? Can you tell any more about it?
When we were further out, Melissa, it looked to me like there was more than one big flame actually going. It still kind of looks that way to me. It looks like a very, very large fire going to the left. And a number of smaller ones also burning at the same time. But you're right, that could just be smoke in our way. We are a few minutes away from getting right on top of the scene, really, and we might be able to get a better idea of just how this thing is burning. We're about 2 minutes out, Pilot Bob Poe tells us, Melissa.
About 2 minutes away from the fire at the Heaven Hill Distilleries. And of course, this is a historic site for the state of Kentucky. This has a lot to do with Kentucky's history. This is a very sad event as well as a dramatic one that is going on at this time. George Sells is on the ground. He is on the telephone with us now as we continue to look at these Sky 11 video pictures of the flames. George, what is it like from the ground?
Well, Melissa, on the ground it's very hot and the flames are spreading. I don't know if you can see it from Sky 11, but there is one warehouse they're concentrating on now that they are trying to keep wet to keep this fire from spreading any further. At this point, we're told at least 5 warehouses are involved, possibly 7. As the fire has spread through the Heaven Hill Distillery here. And the problem is there is so much fuel in each of these warehouses. Each one can hold 20,000 barrels of whiskey. Of course, that's very flammable, and as you mentioned earlier, they have been having problems. You hear booms every now and then when a whiskey barrel explodes. And the fire is being fueled by these barrels as they go from warehouse to warehouse. There's a total of 25 warehouses on here, so we're looking at least 1/5 of this distillery has already gone up in flames, and we could be looking at more here in the near future.
George, what are the firefighters doing at this point? We understand they're just letting this fire go to some extent. Are they trying to protect those other buildings? Are they keeping them hosed down? We know you've had a very strong rain shower there recently.
That is correct. That rainstorm earlier was very, very strong, and it brought the flames down a little bit for a while, but they're now back up as high as they were earlier. What the firefighters are doing, they have ladder trucks out here now. They've got fire departments here from as far away as Okolona that I've seen, and they've got ladder trucks here, and they are concentrating on the buildings that have not yet caught fire.
Keeping them wet.
Keeping them wet, trying to keep the flames away. Right now, just a few yards in front of me, they are cutting a fence down. They're getting ready to try to bring some bulldozers in, apparently, to try to dig some more ditches. There have been some backhoes in there earlier where they were trying to dig ditches to contain the fire. And as one man from the construction company told me a few minutes ago, the stuff that they already dug didn't do a thing. He said it's so large, they just can't do anything right now.
Now, can you tell me, and I want to remind everyone again that you are looking at live pictures from Sky 11 as we are flying toward the scene. You've been watching this for about, Angela is saying they're less than half a mile away. You have been looking at this for approximately 10 minutes now as we have gotten ever closer in Sky 11. And now you can distinguish the buildings. We're making a turn there toward our landing site, and that's why you're seeing the inside of the helicopter. You can distinguish the different buildings now. And George, Can you tell me, are those wooden buildings, are they metal? I know most of these buildings, these warehouses for the distilleries are wooden, but are these metal buildings? Can you tell me?
They appear from the they appear to have metal siding, Melissa, but a gentleman I was talking to who has done work inside these buildings before says inside it's all wood.
All wood. George,
it's making it even more difficult for them.
We have a fabulous picture right now from Sky 11, and you can see that two of those buildings are, and you can see from the foreground what they once probably looked like. They're just burning ash and debris.
Well, I'm trying to see the one, see where Sky 11 is. I can't quite pick them out yet, but I can tell you that when we got here, one of the warehouses they were trying to defend, they were trying to keep it from going up in flames, hadn't caught fire yet. That's when we arrived here about an hour ago, and it is now fully engulfed. And it's the one next to that they're trying to save. There's one kind of behind it and one over to the left of it as I'm facing of it that they're trying to protect. And that is the direction that the wind is blowing. And even though the rain has stopped out here, the wind has not died down. The wind is still very, very strong. And that obviously is a big problem they're having right now. When the rains came, it was kind of a good news, bad news thing because you had all that water, but the wind was blowing even harder. When I did my report with you earlier, the wind was literally blowing so hard and the rain falling so hard, I was having trouble breathing.
You could not hear a lot of that over the cell phone. You could tell it was the wind. But here in these Sky 11 pictures, you can see how strong the wind still is. You can tell that there is wind there from the flames being fanned in the direction. I'm not sure at this point. I've lost my bearings which direction that is, but still being fanned somewhat up toward the top of the television screen. Now, this, of course, is the first time that we here at the station have seen this. And, George, can you tell us, were those warehouses the same size, the four that are burning, the same size as the ones in the foreground that we can see around them?
That is correct. These buildings are all identical. They're 7 stories high. If I had to venture a guess, well, I mean, you can count windows across them, but probably, 75, 100 yards across. And those buildings, the buildings are all pretty much identical to one another. And the ones, if you see the ones, I see where Sky 11 is now. The buildings furthest to the back that are still okay, those two right in front of them that are burning were identical in size.
Now at the bottom, yes, we can see all of that. And now at just below the distilleries, I'm sorry, I don't know the directions here, but just below the buildings that are on fire, George, we're also noticing some other buildings that look like they have been on fire. Can you tell us any more about that? Are you close enough?
I was told we're in the other direction. We're Sky 11, where Sky 11's coming around right now. They are coming toward me, so you can see we're kind of on the back side from there. I cannot see those lower buildings from here. I was told that there was fire in these warehouses. You see, these are the storage warehouses. I was told there was fire in the distillery proper earlier that they were able to fight down somewhat. That was probably the buildings you're seeing there.
I think
but at this point, the warehouses are the biggest problem. Again, 20,000 barrels of whiskey, figure it out.
In each building.
A lot of fuel.
Right. And Jewel, in Sky 11, can you tell us any more? The flames are just incredible.
It
looks like
incredible.
A forest fire.
Yes, Melissa, it's amazing. We were kind of coming up on the east side of the fire there as George was speaking, and we are now circling around on the north end of the flames. What you mentioned, Melissa, the other building there, George had mentioned he thought he heard the distillery itself was on fire. That is what it looks like. It is definitely a different building from what these warehouses are, and there are still flames going on inside that building as well. We'll probably circle around and come up on that again at some point, and you'll get another look at that. It's not just warehouses. There does seem to be some of the other property on fire, too.
And Ann, I don't know if we can pan to the left, if we can get the photograph pan to the left. There you see the building that they're trying to save. That is the direction the flames are being fanned into, and they have been pouring water on that building for quite some time now. The firefighters have, to try to keep it from going up like the rest of these have. Now remember, these are all an equal distance apart pretty much, and you see them also watering down this building. And that fire spread from warehouse to warehouse. So you can imagine it spread through explosions. Again, they said whiskey barrels were blowing out of the windows, and it of course spread along the ground, spread through the vapors and the fumes. And so even though those buildings seem very far away, it spread from one building to another. Now, if you can have also, I think the photographer is going in, Rob Michaud is in the helicopter right now, and he is going in on the buildings that are not warehouses, and we believe that may be distillery buildings themselves.